But the real rate of inflation, it's horrible because, you know who is hurt the worst by inflation? People on fixed incomes and the poorest of the poor. They're hurt the worst. And yet it's caused by the Federal Reserve System that's printing money, QE2, at an incredible rate. Unaccountable people destroying our economy. And it's caused by this budget deficit. We're in an economic mess. And so something has to be done. So I said I'd run for this office. And I was telling Gary, it wasn't quite as easy as I thought. Because one of the things in order to win an election, you got to get your message out. Now, I have a little bit of an advantage because I've spent my life helping entrepreneurs become multimillionaires. Basically, people come to me with these ideas, with small companies, and I help them grow, and I help them become multimillionaires. I just got back from a client, Bruce West, who's over in Carmel, California, and he was renting this room in a guest house up in Carmel, and he had this idea, I believe in alternative health, and Craig, I'd like to send a newsletter out to chiropractors. And I said, no, don't do that. Send it out to seniors who have physical problems, who are giving up on their traditional medical practice, and they would like to be able to just see, what can I do for supplements, or is there something else I can do? And no offense to a doctor here. And so what Dr. Bruce West did is he started doing this. We've got him up to now close to a $30 million company from having worked on a kitchen table in a rented room. He tore down that guest house. He bought the main house, and he bought 6 acres in Carmel overlooking the ocean. And this is the type of thing that I've done, and this is what we need, is a culture that's promoting economic growth. So I don't need to run for Congress. My business, is going great, but I can't sit by and watch what's going on. And so I have said, okay, I'm going to take this sacrifice. I'm going to run for this office, and it costs money, and that's been the biggest problem. So I've had to self-fund, and I self-funded quite a bit of money in this campaign. But I've also had a couple hundred donors all over the United States donating as well. And by the time this is done, we'll probably have close to 1,000 people donating money throughout the United States, trying to get some PAC money. But the biggest thing is, right now I can't run some radio commercials with Tom McClintock, and I can't run some TV commercials that we have.
Because of funds?
We don't have the funds. Anybody see the TV commercial, the lemonade stand? You saw it. Did you like it? Yeah. So here's the lemonade stand. I'll just kind of, you correct me if I miss something. But basically, you got 2 kids, and they're selling lemonade, and they got this jar, and this jar's full of money. And along come a couple of government goons, black suits, dark glasses, and coming up, and then they hand these kids a bill for $423,000, their share of the national debt. And the kids go, what's this? And he explains what it is. And he said, we can't pay this. You better figure it out, kid. And he grabs the kid's money jar and takes it away. And then I come in and explain what the national debt is and what it means to the kids and to the future. And we wrap it up. And then at the very end, I have my endorsements. And the endorsements say, Mike Antonovich, Frank Scotto, Mayor Torrance, and hundreds of lemonade stands across America. So we've got some really effective commercials and stuff, but we don't have the money for it. That's the problem. So I'm spending a lot of time on the phone and trying to get the money. But we do have an incredible campaign. We want to be able to have a online campaign that nobody can match. And that's what we have. We're doing, if you've heard the Google search and all this, we're doing all that. And we're dominating in this district, the conservative media, probably starting next week, if we get enough funds in to do that. Then we have a direct mail campaign that is designed to get people to fill out their absentee ballot, get it in right away. We want the vote by mail. And that's one of the keys to our success. And we've got an aggressive campaign going to our targeted audience, maybe a dozen different mailings. Then I have specialized mailings going to vets and going to people who are investors and a variety of others. And we were endorsed by a couple of parties. We were endorsed by the American Independent Party. So they're sending out a letter to all their party members. And the Libertarian candidate that ran twice against Jane Harman has endorsed us. And he's sending out a letter to all the Libertarians, asking them to vote for us. So we've got kind of an interesting campaign going on here. When Election Day happened, we were late in starting because I'm a businessman. I was not going to run for this office unless I thought I could win. I hired the best poster I know of here in California, Arnie Steinberg, to help evaluate this. And against all the skepticism, he found that we could do this. And in running for this campaign, he was right in how we identified our voters and could take a surprise. Guys, 18% of the voters turned out. Only 18%. That's one of the unique quirks about a special election. July 12th is the election. We're going to only have about 12% of the people turning out. A lot of Bowen supporters and a lot of Winograd supporters are sitting the campaign out. Plus, summer and the unions are out at the lake, and we've got a unique situation. Plus, probably on that same day, the unions have been concentrating on Wisconsin, that they're not going to be focused on this. They're focused on Wisconsin. We're finding throughout San Pedro in this district, which is a Janice Hahn stronghold, signs throughout saying Huey for Congress. We're finding Bowen supporters who certainly don't agree with me on anything other than they don't like Janice Hahn. We're finding union leaders. Like there was a union meeting about as big as this with union leaders, and 3 of the union leaders stood up and said to Janice Hahn, "We're voting for Craig Huey." And she said, "What? You're voting for that Tea Party scumbag?" Every Republican says Tea Party. You're voting for that Tea Party scumbag? Do you know the dirt I have on him? Wait till you see the dirt. And she has been sending out horrible direct mail that take an element of truth and twist it. It's classic distorted direct mail. And she's sending it to some Republicans, but mainly to independents and Democrats, because she's got to mobilize her base. So she's demonizing me. She's running on, not on Fox, but on CNN and MSNBC, a TV commercial equating me with Sarah Palin, only saying I'm worse. So, this is what's going on in the district right now. And so we're trying to get the funds to counteract it, but we have a lot of the direct mail in play. We'll have the online in play. We're focused on getting about 28% of the Republicans to the poll, plus a certain element of other identified voters. So those of you who walk the precincts or make the phone calls, we know who we need to get, and you're vital in getting those people to the poll. This is a scientific election. We have a guy named Jimmy Camp. If you come down, he is brilliant in his ability to do operation and identification of voters. And you're going to see a master at work. And so that's what's happening. Now, we have our campaign has been focused on the economic issues, even though she keeps trying to take it off on the abortion and Medicare and everything else. We've been pretty successful in doing that. The papers have basically, like on abortion, they'll write about abortion, make my little statement, and basically ignore it. So we've been very successful in that stuff. But there's a guy, conservative filmmaker named Ladd, who came out with a film that came out yesterday. And it is an embarrassment, it's racist, it's sexist, and it's harmful.
Have you reached out to him and told him to stop?
He's doing it because he wants the publicity.
Right.
He's not going to stop. He's being invited to the national networks. So she's using that against me. She's trying to say I'm in collusion with him to do. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought Janice Hahn paid for it. And so the element of truth that was in that, it was done by a well-meaning person who said, are we running out of time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A well-meaning person who thought he'd connect with this lad guy because there's a connection with Janice Hahn in some incompetent city, I mean, all of her city council stuff is incompetent, but it's incompetent city council stuff where they were just channeling money to gang members and drug people, and she was helping get some criminals out of jail. And Channel 11 had a documentary on that, 8-minute special investigative report, and that was where this kind of the basis of this, that you would never know. Okay, so I'm going to end it with this.
I'm talking to the waitress.
Oh, okay. She is running scared. Her poll matched up pretty much with our poll, saying we're about 5 points behind. My Jimmy Camp says, you know, if we're 8 points behind, 9 points behind, we're going to win. And so what we're doing is we're trying to keep on focus, keep the thing going. She was so scared. She did what we found out. We found out she was very unpopular all over the place. She changed her ballot designation in the primary from Los Angeles City Councilwoman to local councilwoman. Local. So that's our race. We're intending to send a shockwave to the media, to Congress, and to Obama that California finally gets it. And that this kind of going to be like a California earthquake where we're sending a loud message. They don't own this district. And I think we can do it. And so your help would be great. And I know Caleb wanted to say something real quick, but I've run out of time for questions.
No, there's still time for questions.
Oh, there is?
I left my
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to do questions real quick, but do rest assured that after Craig Huey's done speaking, I'm going to talk about volunteer options. It is next on the agenda. Tried to get all fancy and highlighted, and I guess we printed it out. It's like a big black dot, so you can't read it. But it is there. We will be talking about volunteer options once he's finished. So if anyone has questions, please raise your hand, and we'll...
Well, I think Caleb wanted to say something.
Yeah, I have the more awkward job of asking you guys first to volunteer time, but also to volunteer money, because we need contributions really bad. So, and this is the call that I'm supposed to take. We have an
You go get the call, and she'll handle it for the volunteers. And if you
Alright.
if you think that you've got $5, $10, any type of money that you can do for this campaign, we've got envelopes that you can distribute. Questions? Yes.
I'd just like to make one comment. Being roughly closer to your age than a lot of people at this table, you and I lived through the Carter administration.
Yes.
And we lived through, I think this guy's far worse than this, but we have been in the discouraging times before. And we got out like you, worked like hell. Nobody thought Reagan could win,
No.
and we did turn the
That's
country
right.
around. And I think people who are used to not seeing that need to know you're the best opportunity we've had in the Republican Party to elect somebody to Congress. I live in your district, so I've had the privilege of voting for you already and will again. But I have never seen, and I met with most of the candidates running the primary. They don't get it, you get it, and I get it in the mail. The mailers were brilliant.
Thank you.
So I think I'm very excited about the possibility of this campaign.
Thanks. Yes.
I like this one. Is this budget balanced vote, is this smoke and mirrors?
Which one?
The California, obviously the federal government is, but what's going on, you know, they're not supposed to get any pay unless they pass the
You know what?
balanced
You're going to see
budget.
all kinds of
25.
drama and trying to wear down the Republicans and find a couple of Republicans that they can, find a compromise with. Just don't trust what you hear.
That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Anything else?
Just because you're